In 1 week, the Grand Prix scene has moved from Europe's most westerly point in Portugal to almost its most southerly, here at Jerez, near Gibraltar, and it's the scene of today's Spanish Grand Prix, the last European round of the World Championship of 1987. The Jerez circuit, which is 2.6 miles long, is almost brand new. The facilities are superb, the drivers like the circuit, and as it is some 12 miles an hour slower than Portugal, the non-turbo cars should be much further up the field than they were last week. 4 men are still in the Drivers' World Championship, and although Nelson Piquet has to be hot favourite for his 3rd championship, any one of them could win. Piquet on 67 points, Ayrton Senna on 49, Nigel Mansell on 43, and Alain Prost on 40. In the Constructors' Championship, McLaren could still beat Williams, but with a 48 points gap to close, it's very unlikely. And with the virtually one-man Lotus team in 3rd place, the question is, can they be caught by the resurgent Ferrari team of Alboreto and Berger? Next year, Riccardo Patrese will be driving for the Williams team. And last night, he celebrated in ebullient form by showing that he is no mean fighter at a mock bullfight. Grand Prix drivers are competitive even when they're not on the racetrack. Like how? Well, like this sporting contest that they had at Marbella this week. Michele Alboreto showing his athletic prowess on the tennis court. Stefan Johansson may be better at driving the McLaren than driving off on the golf course. Derek Warwick swims against Adrian Campos, and if you can't win one way, Martin Brundle, an ace at the wheel, swimming like an otter. And the winner, the super fit master dietitian, Eddie Cheever. Well, Eddie Cheever is in 13th place on the grid here in Spain, about halfway up it. But Nelson Piquet is in pole position. And completing the front row of the grid, his teammate Nigel Mansell. 3rd is the Ferrari of Gerhard Berger, and that is a significant sign. 4th, the other Ferrari, Michele Alboreto. Then 5th, Ayrton Senna. 6th is Theo Fabi. 7th is world champion Alain Prost, and not at all happy. 8th is Thierry Boutsen. 9th, Riccardo Patrese. 10th, his teammate Andrea De Cesaris. Derek Warwick is in 12th position. Jonathan Palmer in the 3.5 litre Tyrrell is 16th. Martin Brundle is in 20th position. The fastest 3.5 litre car, much further up than usual. Philippe Streff in 15th place. So, 72 laps to go for the Spanish Grand Prix. Piquet in pole position. No trouble so far, but this first corner is going to be very demanding as Senna sprints up into 3rd position behind the 2 Williams and ahead of both the Ferraris. It's a clean start round the first corner. That's a blessing. And it's Piquet, Mansell, Senna, then Berger, Alboreto. Now they are on to hairpin 1, which is where they are now. Then they stream away round turn 3, which is about 110 mile an hour, and it's still the 2 Williams in front. And Nigel Mansell will be praying that the passive suspension car is the way to go here today. And at the end of the first lap, Nigel Mansell takes the lead by blasting past his teammate Nelson Piquet.
And Mansell got past Piquet then, ducking inside, and Piquet's climbing all around him. So the 2 Williams drivers already fighting. Senna right there as well, made a tremendous start. Get into 3rd place, having a look down the inside, Nelson Piquet, and there is very little love lost between the 2 Brazilian drivers.
Almost literally smouldering is Nigel Mansell, who is not at all happy with the treatment he alleges he has been receiving from Williams and Honda here in Spain. He is in his passively suspended Williams, and Nelson Piquet is in the actively suspended Williams. The time difference between the two of them was marginal during practice. Piquet's pole position was 1 minute 22.4 and Mansell was 1 minute 23.08. But Nelson Piquet appeared to be sandbagging. He held his fastest lap until the very last moment, went out, and that's what caused Mansell to come in, try to change his cars, get into trouble with the weighing officials, be fined $3,000 and have his Saturday afternoon practice time withheld. Didn't really matter because he was faster on Friday. And there is Farby challenging Boutsen. Theo Farby challenging his teammate Thierry Boutsen for 6th position. And there is Adrian Campos doing the usual thing, but this time in his home country in Spain, spinning off. He's spun off under colossal pressure from the media here in Spain, his home country, during practice. I'm afraid this young man is very much over his head in Formula One, and he's shown it again there in the Minardi. Senna pulling away there, and this is Nicola Larini in the new Italian Coloni, apparently retiring from the race. Yes, out he goes. He failed to qualify at Monza. He qualified well at Jerez, but his race didn't last very long. Senna, third. The gap between Mansell and Piquet is now 3 seconds. The gap between Piquet and Senna is 10 seconds, and you can see the gap between Senna and the rest of them. Visual.
Yes, you can see the problem, and Alboreto having a look past. And he's made it. Alboreto goes through past Berger. Bit of a shuffle going on there, but that may be a good thing for Ferrari, because Berger's problem is that he's quick on the wrong points of the circuit, where he can't overtake. He's definitely being held up by Senna, but he was very slow around the last couple of corners and lets the gap spread, and here we see it again. Alboreto down the inside, and the two Benisons having a look as well. And look at this. Berger is having to defend his position. He got a little bit slowed up in the corner there. And Boutsen's having a look round all sides. Berger manages to avert the crisis.
Mansell leading now by 6.4 seconds from Nelson Piquet, and that is world champion Alain Prost completing his pit stop in 11.4 seconds.
Yes, not one of their best stops, but definitely the right tactics by Prost to come in early. He's nothing he could do to get past that queue, so the best thing is to try and make the stop, get a clear run lap a bit quicker, so that he's building up a technical lead on that group for the time that they choose to go into the pit.
I'll tell you that if Jonathan Palmer, who is in 10th place, wins his class, the 3.5 litre category, it will almost certainly clinch the Drivers' Championship, and Boutsen is into the pits. Thierry Boutsen, who was in a strong 6th position, is into the pits and out of them. That's not a bad time these days, 9.5 seconds. And Nigel Mansell is still in the lead. He has now completed 35 laps.
Yes, Piquet could be in a bit of trouble because he's dropping back so fast now. I don't think we can blame it all on the traffic as Alboreto gets closer than he's been for quite some time. But still not looking as if he can find a way around. And Piquet is now 20 seconds behind Mansell and lapping much, much slower. So we will have a look at Piquet and see if we can spot anything. In the meantime, behind this group, and Alboreto having a look, but just not close enough. They're just not getting out of that hairpin onto the straight well enough to have a go at Senna. And Johansson in the pits. Stephanie Johansson, I was just going to suggest that McLaren should call him in about now so that Prost gets a clear run and doesn't have to lose time overtaking his own teammate, and that would appear to be what McLaren's have done.
now on lap 38. Ayrton Senna by 24 seconds. The gap is constantly increasing. Piquet is lapping 1.6 seconds slower than the man you're looking at, Nigel Mansell, the race leader. But Prost is now lapping much quicker than anybody. And there is Prost now. You can see how much closer the McLaren is, as Alboreto has a go at Senna, who rudely slams the door in his face. Not likely. You're not getting past here or anywhere else if I can do anything about it. Senna third, Alboreto fourth. And Mansell into the pits. Now, this is a vital pit stop. Nigel Mansell leading the Spanish Grand Prix on lap 43 into the pits. Is this a good one? The seconds are ticking by. I wish we could have a look and clear the crowd. It's not very good. 11.3 seconds. Nigel Mansell on lap 43.
Very surprising to see them come in that late. But, and that's Nelson. That is Nelson Piquet. They're out together. Now, Mansell's got the advantage because he's in front. He's got to get his tyres up to operating temperature, and the two Ferraris having a go. So suddenly, everything's coming to life.
Indeed it is. Lap 43. Nigel Mansell has changed tyres. Is Nelson Piquet going to? You would expect him to, but Nelson Piquet is on the active suspension, and that could give him an easier ride, and that could mean that Piquet could go through this race non-stop, and that would be a tremendous fighting finish.
The two Williamses are still very close together indeed. Mansell, of course, has stayed in front. And there we go. Berger is down the inside. Two Ferraris side by side. It's just what Prost wanted. That was just perfect for Prost. The two Ferraris, infighting amongst themselves, have given Prost the chance to make up two places without even having to do any work for it.
Alain Prost up to fourth place in one go. Now on lap 45 in this Spanish Grand Prix, which has always been interesting and exciting and is now getting to be thrilling, is Nigel Mansell leading Nelson Piquet by just over a second. Senna, there he is now in third position as he has been for most of the race, 25 seconds behind. Alain Prost, the new fourth place man, followed by the new fifth place man, Berger, there he is. In sixth position, Alboreto. Seventh is Boutsen, who, by the way, is 4 seconds behind Alboreto. Then Stefan Johansson is 8, 21 seconds behind Boutsen. Jonathan Palmer is now 9th in the 3.5 litre Tyrrell and leading the category. And Piquet into the pits. So Piquet is certainly not going through the race non-stop. Nigel Mansell took 11.3 seconds. And it's going to mean that Piquet will have to come out very quickly if he is to preserve his second place, and it doesn't look to me as though he's going to. 19 seconds, that is a paralytic stop by modern standards. And there you see Prost up and Piquet back into the race, and the race order now then is Mansell leading, Senna second, Prost right behind him, then Piquet, then Berger, then Alboreto.
And Piquet had to be a little bit naughty then in front of Berger as he came out of the pits. Berger was trying to get past him, and he just moved across the track on him.
Piquet having a go at the new third-placed man, Alain Prost. Piquet on new tyres, and still the incredible Senna going strong, not having stopped.
You could see the last time they went up the pit straight how Senna pulled away from Prost under power, and I strongly suspect Piquet will have enough extra horsepower to be able to force his way past Prost on the straight. Prost, meanwhile, has got a big problem. He's outgunned by the Honda engines.
But the Honda engine of Ayrton Senna's Lotus is propelling a chassis which is being supported by worn tyres. Prost has got new rubber, and that was Berger. Into the pits. Gerhard Berger coming into the pits from fifth position, and Piquet forces past Prost into third, and Prost retakes it as Piquet slides off and spins. My goodness, Piquet under pressure has done what he did in Hungary last year, spun badly, regained the course, and a terrific development in Spain on lap 48. So, Piquet fighting now, the man who's leading the World Championship and who wanted to win, of course, this race to clinch his World Championship chances.
Yes, and Piquet, Prost kept the inside for the corner. Piquet got alongside him, but he got onto the marbles. He was just a bit offline. Prost did absolutely the right thing, held his line. Piquet was a bit over-anxious, and he does a nice elegant respin to get the car facing the right way. But mistake from Piquet.
Senna, second. Prost, third. Alboreto, fourth. Boutsen, fifth. And there's Boutsen lapping Eddie Cheever, who is in 13th place in the Arrows, running strongly. You may wonder what's happened to Teo Farby, and the answer is that he has had brake trouble and has gone unseen by all of us out of the race. So it's just the Benetton of Boutsen representing the team now, and fastest man in Spain at the present moment, Gerhard Berger, 1 minute 26.9, which is a new lap record. But what a magnificent race Ayrton Senna is driving. He has now done 50 laps on his set of Goodyear tyres, which he looks like keeping for the rest of the race, because he will know, of course, that if he comes in, he's lost all chances of anything, never mind second place. And Boutsen is challenging and taking Michele Alboreto. So Thierry Boutsen moves up into fourth place. The Benetton is now fourth, as he was for Lotov, and Cheever moves over and lets Piquet through, who is right behind Alboreto. Lap 52, race order. Mansell, 33 seconds ahead. Senna second, Prost third. There. Now look for the fourth place man. It's Boutsen, followed by Alboreto, followed by Piquet, right behind him. There's Alboreto, followed by Piquet, fifth and sixth. Now Boutsen is pulling well away from the Ferrari, and it looked to me as though the Ferrari was coming into the pit. We'll keep a weather eye open as Senna comes towards us. Prost, Boutsen, second, third and fourth. And the Ferrari is into the pits. Michele Alboreto coming in. Here is the Italian making his pit stop on lap 53. Michele Alboreto stopped 6 laps to go. That's a good one for today, 8.13 seconds. In fact, that's the fastest pit stop of the lead men that we have had in the Spanish Grand Prix. Michele Alboreto then out on new rubber. Meantime, the race for second place continues to rage. Senna's got it. Prost is going for it. Boutsen watching both of them. And I think we're going to see Boutsen up into second place the way he's going at the moment, because he is all over Prost's McLaren. There's somebody spinning off. It looked like a Tyrrell to me. It was. It's Streff. Streff has spun off. Well, Nigel Mansell may have felt that he was hard done by in relation to the equipment that Piquet's got. But he's certainly proving that it is no disadvantage to him. What a magnificent race he has driven and is driving as he now completes his 55th lap. And there's Senna, second. Boutsen, right up with the Brazilian. So where is Alain Prost? There he is, and he's been passed by Piquet. So it's Senna second, Boutsen third, Piquet fourth, Prost down to fifth position, and right up behind Prost is Gerhard Berger in sixth position as the Crocodile goes round the corner to come through and complete the lap. And Michele Alboreto should appear into sight soon. Piquet going for third, but Boutsen will move across as Berger takes Prost. It looks to me as though Alain Prost has got a problem.
Well, I think his problem really is just lack of power and compared with the rest of that group. What will be interesting is to see if Piquet can first of all get past Boutsen, and then how he'll go. Whoops, and that's a long way off the beaten track.
Indeed it is, and it's the unfortunate Jonathan Palmer, obviously out perfectly all right himself, but with a smoking and very, very bent Tyrrell. I don't know what made him go off, but Palmer out, which is a tragedy for him because he was on his way to 9 points, and Berger is looking for second place, and Senna still holds him off. You look down, Senna second, Boutsen third, Piquet sliding the Williams in fourth place, followed by Berger, who is fifth, and Prost, who is sixth. That's René Arnoux in his Ligier. Senna second, Boutsen third, Piquet fourth, Berger fifth, and Prost sixth come through, and Piquet gets through on the inside and takes that third position away from Thierry Boutsen by forcing him offline, getting up on the inside.
Yes, Piquet just superior with power out of the hairpin. They would either accelerate Boutsen's Benetton, and then he has a simple task. He takes the inside line for the corner, and he's got it.
And Berger is in trouble. Gerhard Berger's Ferrari smoking heavily. He's been passed by Prost. There's Senna second, Piquet third, Boutsen fourth. Prost is in fifth position now, and they are well away from Gerhard Berger, who looks as though his Spanish Grand Prix is about to be terminated. Now, Piquet's going to have another go for it. He'll try and go through on the inside. He dummies to the left, he gets up to the right, and he's through. Senna is trying to pull it out, but he fails, and Nelson Piquet is up into second position, and Boutsen is up into third, and Prost is up into fourth, and down to fifth goes Ayrton Senna, who was completely out-fumbled there, but I am sure that his tyres now are really losing grip. And off goes the Ferrari. That's Berger. His race is run. So Gerhard Berger, in the smoking remains, or out of the smoking remains of his Ferrari, retires. Piquet, that you're looking at now, is on his last scoring race and off the circuit. Piquet on the grass. Now, was that... and he's lost the second place because Boutsen goes through. And Boutsen goes off. Piquet loses second place to Boutsen by going on the grass. Boutsen loses the second place immediately to Piquet by spinning off. What an incredible race this is. Mansell leads. Piquet in second place. Prost is third. Alboreto is fourth. Johansson is fifth. And down to sixth position goes Ayrton Senna. And look at the way Prost takes Piquet. Piquet smokes his tyres. And Alain Prost, who won one of the most brilliant races I have ever seen last week in Portugal, is now up into second place. Look at this. Here is a replay of Nelson Piquet losing the second place.
Yes, a lot of tyre smoke as he locked up his right front wheel there. And Piquet has gone in for tyres. Piquet is in the pits for tyres. That would explain why he disappeared from Prost's mirrors. And out again now.
So Prost now is second behind Nigel Mansell, 33 seconds behind, and there is the Ferrari, and that is Alboreto's car joining that of Berger. Philippe Alliot in the Lola, driving magnificently, is now in the points, and Nigel Mansell is starting his 72nd and last lap. He's into it.
Yes, and the checkered flag won't come a moment too soon. His left front tyres are going to look a little bit tired, but of course he's got a huge lead, and it's really been a very good drive indeed by Nigel Mansell. He had to win this race to keep alive any distant chance for the championship. He's gone out and done it. He pulled steadily away from Nelson Piquet in the early part of the race, and from then on he just had to keep it nice and smooth and steady, and won it. Alain Prost there has finally emerged from all that scrapping that was going on over second place, which was fought over by at least 6 cars throughout the race. Prost, the supreme craftsman, has emerged in second place despite a power disadvantage with the others.
Into the last bend, I can see the checkered flag being raised. The crowd are giving him a tremendous reception, which he justifiably deserves. A magnificent victory then, the 5th of the year for Nigel Mansell. Prost in second place, Johansson third, Piquet fourth, Senna fifth, and Philippe Alliot in sixth position. Piquet then leads the World Championship with 70 points ahead of Mansell on 52. One behind him is Senna in third place. Alain Prost is in fourth position, Johansson is fifth, and Gerhard Berger is sixth. In the Constructors' Championship, it is definitely Williams' year.
The early laps were very difficult. I think we were pulling out just 0.1 or 0.2 of a second a lap every lap. which was very hard to do, make no mistakes. And I knew that the normal car had a bit of an advantage on full tanks, but I was a bit worried on half tanks and maybe empty tanks that the active car would be better. So obviously I was delighted to get the cushion that I did.
Nigel, for you, the World Championship lives. 3 races to go, and you are now only 18 points behind.
Do you think I would give up after Adelaide last year? After that happened to me last year, anything can happen this year. And give me a reliable car and half a chance, and we'll be trying very, very hard, Murray.
Well, there's a bit of a gap now before the next Grand Prix. We'll have to savour the one in Spain, because it's 3 weeks to Mexico on October the 18th. But we'll be there, and you'll be able to see it on a BBC Sports Special.